Welcome back, Padawans. Today we're going to take a quick peek, reaction, and break down the episode 3 from season 2 from The Mandalorian, chapter 11, The Heiress. Coming up next. All right, let's get into it. So we have episode 3 of season 2. We actually kind of took off here, right? So what I'll do is we're going to start with a quick reaction, and then we'll get into some full spoilers with some images from the show. So if you don't want to be spoiled, I'll let you know in about 20 seconds after I give my reaction, but you should probably head out because we're going to get into pretty spoilery territory and break down the episode. All right, so overall, my reaction was we finally kind of got going with some plot. Got some more characters that we thought were going to be integral to moving forward, and we're starting to kind of put some stuff together. So I was really excited. Favorite episode so far. One's still up there, but this one, because of story elements and stuff from canon, pretty excited about. So we're definitely moving forward, and this one was probably my favorite episode of the season so far. So, all right, from here on in, full spoilers. You've been warned. So head out, watch it, and then come back after. All right. So let's jump in. The Heiress, obviously referring to Bo-Katan after you finish the episode. This is what I thought it might be leading to, but wasn't 100% clear. But now it is. So we have him and the Baby Yoda and Frog Lady kind of limping into Trask, and they kind of crash. The first thing I saw that I thought was pretty cool was actually when they're getting kind of pulled out of the water. It's by this thing right here, which is kind of like this AT-AT put together. Let me blow this up for you. This guy's kind of like an AT-AT walker that's been repurposed, right, with like a crane and like a viewport. So it definitely reminds me of like the AT-AT. There's one back here too. The AT-AT from Fallen Order on Kashyyyk with all like the weeds because it's walking through the water constantly. So I thought this was kind of funny because of crash landing, and he just misses the landing zone and just plops in the water. So they tow him out. All right, back to you. All right, so yeah, then we're zooming around. There's a bunch of Quarren and Mon Calamari on this planet. It is Trask, so we confirmed that. And basically, Frog Lady and she finds her husband, and they meet up. And basically, he brings him to kind of like this little cantina spot, and says that this Mon Calamari can help him. Right? He asks, and that's the information. So Din asks the Mon Calamari to help him out if he has seen any of his kind, and he pours a bowl of chowder for Baby Yoda, and there's like a live squid in there. Where is it? Right here. And it jumps right on the child's face, kind of reminiscent of like Alien, the face sucker things. So it was pretty funny, and Din just kind of pokes it with his blade, with his vibro knife, and it falls back in the stew. So we get going. Anyways, the Mon Calamari goes over and gets a Quarren. The Quarren sits down and says, "Yeah, I've seen some people with Beskar rolling through." This was kind of my first hint that, like, because this is what Gor Koresh was saying, they specifically talk about the Beskar instead of Mandalorians. So I was like, "Ugh, is this another setup?" Turns out it was, but yeah. So he says it's a few hours sail, so they hop on, and we get sailing. He tricks Din into bringing the Baby Yoda close to see this Mama Core feed, and then he pushes the child in with the Mama Core, and it swallows the child. Luckily, he's got his little pram that closes. Yeah, this is this crazy kind of creepy thing. You can kind of start to see it. Where are we? 1016, something like that. Yeah, nasty little mouth and everything. And so he gets swallowed. So Din jumps in and tries to help, and that's where he gets kind of trapped because they put the grate over the top that we saw in the trailers. And then in comes some Mandalorians, which end up being Bo-Katan and her two friends, and save the day. Actually, Sasha Banks' character jumps in and goes at it with the Mama Core. I guess she shoots it a couple times and gets the Baby Yoda out. So they save the day. And this is where it kind of gets interesting. So let's get this picture up of them. 1206. Yeah, so we have they gave us their names too later. This is Koska Reeves. This is Sasha Banks. I believe her real name is Missy Rojas. Oh, that was a different character. Sorry, it's Mercedes Vernado. Um, so she's playing a night owl. You saw the sigil on her shoulder armor, and this is Bo-Katan. And then this ends up being a guy named Axe Woves, who looks like he's probably from a version of Death Watch, or at least maybe House Cries if they stuck with the blue after. And then so Mando kind of is like, wow, I found him, great. And what's the first thing they do? Which everyone unfortunately does in front of Mando, and he immediately thinks they're not real Mandalorians. They take off their masks. Now, this has been, and this is where I'm going to do a full breakdown, I think, of the different things. But they take off their mask, and he kind of goes, "Oh, give me that. Where'd you get that armor?" Right? And Bo-Katan goes, "It's been in my family for 3 generations, from House Cries," and he doesn't react. He's basically like, "You're not Mandalorians or whatever." And the guy notices, Axe Woves, right? This guy right here. He notices and goes, "Oh, he's one of the children of the Watch." Okay, and this is kind of what I was hinting at some of our podcasts. I was like, the stuff that Din says about the Mandalorian doesn't quite line up with everything. Like, he should know certain things. The Jedi shouldn't be super foreign to him. And his non-reaction to the Boba Fett armor in terms of, like, thinking or mentioning that it's Boba Fett's, just that it's Mandalorian armor, also was like, it was a big time bounty hunter at the time. You'd think you would know. And also when she says like when she says Bo-Katan and family cries and everything, and he doesn't he's just like, okay, great. I was like, and they get right into it. Basically, it's kind of what I thought. The children of the Watch were all the orphans and people that were saved by Death Watch, and they were raised, and then she describes them as religious zealots who broke away from Mandalore and tried to kind of go back to ancient beliefs, like way back in the day, and teach that kind of stuff. So it is kind of making sense. Din is like a indoctrinated soldier with like very select history, specifically what Death Watch wanted him to know. So he doesn't even know who House Cries was, who, Satine, who's Bo-Katan's sister, ruled for like 20 years or something in the Clone Wars. And obviously Bo-Katan was a huge part, and she was involved with Death Watch too. So they must have kept the Children of the Watch kind of separate and raised them completely separate. So it's very interesting because now he's not an unreliable narrator in terms of like his experiences, but he becomes an unreliable narrator in terms of any of his Mandalorian history that he says is skewed and taught specifically to him to get a certain reaction, like not taking off the helmet and everything like that. And even like "this is the way" is kind of like their like slogan, right? Is like their cult slogan, because Bo-Katan even says it in this episode. She says it more genuinely at the end of the episode, but the first time she says it is kind of mocking, right? So it's interesting. Anyways. So he's not really into it. He's gonna go try to find Jedi or whatever. So he takes off. He goes back to the port. A bunch of the Quarrens are pissed because Bo-Katan and the other Mandalorians took out all these guys on this ship. So they're like, "You killed my brother," and he's like, "I just want to pass." So anyways, so they fly back in and save him again because there's a bunch of Quarrens surrounding him. And then she basically goes, "Let me at least buy you a drink." So she kind of goes into explaining the whole Children of the Watch thing to him. And then basically he's like, I got to bring this kid back to, the Jedi, his family, the Jedi. And Bo-Katan goes, "Okay, like I'll help you find a Jedi, but you got to help us do our little mission." And he goes, "What's the mission?" So then we get onto it. Basically, Trask is like a black market, and they're funneling a lot of, the Imperials are funneling a lot of stolen Mandalorian weapons. So Bo-Katan's trying to take them back. So they've been harassing different shipments in and out. So this one's on like a Gazanti class freighter, which was pretty cool because we've seen these in a lot of the animated stuff. I don't think we've ever seen them in live action. I could be wrong, but I don't remember seeing them in live action. We got a good picture here. These things are pretty cool. It's really cool to see it. alive to me after seeing him in Rebels and like I don't know if they were in Clone Wars or if they're just Rebels, but like seeing him a lot in animated and then seeing it in real life, it's pretty cool in live action, in other words. So anyways, they hijack it. You know, they steal the cargo. Basically, the guys in the front, the captain or whatever, and the pilots are the last ones alive. They locked themselves up, and Gideon actually calls in. We have Gideon 2434, and basically, this is kind of also like the cultish side of like the leftover remnants of the Empire, right? He basically goes, yeah, it's too late for backup because the guy's calling for backup. And he's like, yeah, no backup, man. It's too late. You got to do what you got to do, you know, and basically says, long live the Empire, like another slogan, right? Like a cult slogan. And the captain, who actually is played by Titus Welliver, who's a great actor in a bunch of stuff, he repeats the phrase back, and basically it's like, you know, it's the suicide phrase. This is Titus. You know, basically crash it, take them out with you. You know, that's the way. So he shoots the two generals, and then he tries to crash it. Obviously, we know the Bo-Katan and Din and all the Mandalorians get up there first and prevent it from crashing. Another quick thing I noticed, which is really cool for canon fans, is that, let me see if I got a decent picture of it. It's tough. It's like in a freeze frame, right? 2131. Let's see if this actually works. Kinda. So the yellow, but basically that the Mandalorians are using those Westar blasters with the yellow lasers, and they have a very unique sound too. So that was kind of a callback to a lot of them in like Rebels, and so that, and I think Clone Wars they had the yellow lasers too. So it's always been a unique thing to them. So that's really cool to see those back. And basically, so the last kind of story pieces, we find out that Bo is specifically looking for Gideon to get the Darksaber back. And she basically holds Titus Welliver's character kind of hostage at the end, saying like, I won't kill you, but you got to tell me where he is. And obviously he doesn't bite, and he's like, well, you might not kill me, but he will. He won't let me live, right? So he has some kind of like cyanide tooth electricity thing, you know what I mean, that kills him. So he does it and goes down, and she's pissed, obviously. So she loses her main lead on Gideon. So she's got to try to figure that out still. She offers Din basically to join him. This whole time the child's back with he dropped him off with the frog lady and frog dad. To watch him while he did this little mission. But so she offers him to kind of come along with them. And when he kind of says, no, I got to find that Jedi, she says, you know, they offer stands or whatever. But she does say, okay, I'll help. I can tell you where to find the Jedi that I know of. And she says, go to the city of Kaladin, city of Kaladin on the forest planet of Corvus, which neither we have heard of that I know of. Corvus does. There was like a character or something with the Mustafar arc in that in the VR game, but that has nothing to do with this in terms of the planet that I know of. So yeah, so we're gonna head out to the planet Corvus, and she says you will find a Jedi named. Well, I don't think she says Jedi. She says you will find Ahsoka Tano there, and say that Bo-Katan sent you. So this should be interesting because moving forward. The end of the episode, he's obviously taking off. His ship's still banged up. The Mon Calamari didn't do a great job fixing it. So this is where it gets interesting with speculating forward. It's like, is the next episode where we meet Ahsoka Tano? Is he going to make it and limp all the way to Corvus? And then we're going to get the introduction of Ahsoka Tano. Or if you're going by like the real world stuff that we know Carl Weathers directed the next episode. And then Filoni did 5. Obviously, a lot of people think the main Ahsoka episode, or most of her introduction, is going to be in 5 because Filoni obviously created her, and that's his episode that he directed. And then a lot of people were hinting that Carl Weathers' episode may be the episode that we go back to Navarro and see, obviously, his character, Greef Karga, and Cara Dune. I don't know the specifics. I'm not in the movie business. I have no idea if you're going to direct an episode, do you direct the episode that you're a prevalent actor in or not? But going by those assumptions, and that we almost are done with all the preview footage. We just have the Navarro preview footage from the trailer. To have all of that out of the way by episode 4 so that we literally haven't seen anything going forward would be neat. So I think my general prediction, without taking too much time to think about it yet, and we'll break it down on the podcast too and go into it more, I think we may see him, the ship not be in good enough shape to make it to Corvus, so he may stop on Navarro. We may have another one of these like, hey, I'm just here to repair my ship so I can go here. And they're like, hey, can you help us? We got Gideon here, blah, blah, blah. So, or maybe Gideon's not part of this. Maybe it's just an Imperial remnant that's giving him problems. It's probably Gideon's unit, but maybe Gideon himself isn't there. And then you have some plot for 4 that he agrees to help Karga and Cara Dune in, obviously because he's friends with him, and then they can help him fix his ship, right? So I think we see that, and then I think we see him take off again at the end of 4 and head to Corvus, and that's where we'll probably get Ahsoka. What's interesting is it definitely felt like Bo-Katan was done, you know what I mean, for the season. Like, she's just kind of like, well, let me know, and she'll come back later. But we do know that she is specifically looking for Gideon. She doesn't know that Gideon's specifically looking for the child, and that Din has messed with Gideon before. They don't really get into that. They miss all the symbols. I don't think Din heard her say Gideon to Titus Welliver's character. So I think it's putting us on a crash course for all of them kind of meeting up. I don't know how Ahsoka plays into it, but I think we're going to get Ahsoka versus Gideon, because that's where the lightsaber battle could come in that we've heard about. So somewhere along the lines, Gideon's going to come back into play, probably once we find Ahsoka, and Din's with Ahsoka. And then I think Bo-Katan's going to be part of it too, because she's searching for Gideon. So we're probably going to get kind of like an Avengers-style meetup between all of them to battle Gideon. At least that's what I hope. So overall, awesome episode, tons of fun. This is a pretty specific breakdown. We're going to get into some things you missed and some deeper theories going forward on the main podcast. But I appreciate you hanging out, and leave a comment. Tell me if I missed anything and what you want to hear in the podcast, and we'll get after it later. All right. Thanks, Padawans.